Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, starting on this 4-hour time frame for Bitcoin, because currently we are potentially about to break above this descending trend line. However, at the same time, if we take a look at this volume here, there's absolutely no volume in the market, which is pretty typical to see for a Bitcoin weekend. However, at the same time, if you're trying to look for a bullish kind of breakout, ideally you would see a lot more volume coming into the market right now. And as I'm recording this, that volume simply isn't there yet. Now, in this video, I want to highlight my base case scenario that I'm expecting over the next week or two. So let's just dive right in. In today's video, I'm going to start on the Bitcoin liquidation heat map. Now, before you get scared and you don't know this chart, let me quickly explain it to you. Typically, the Bitcoin price gets attracted to where there is the most liquidity on the chart, so where you see the most green areas on this chart. As you can see, right now we have a lot of liquidity to the upside here, sitting at about 100,000 US dollars for the Bitcoin price. And besides that, we also have liquidity to the downside, first of all, sitting at 92K. And then below that, we have more liquidity to the downside, sitting at 90,000. Coming back to the chart now on this 4-hour time frame, my base case expectation is that we are going to undercut this previous low here at around 92K one last time before then resuming to the upside from there. Now, the reason I specifically mention this level at 92K is again because we have that liquidity there sitting at 92K. We're talking about close to $300 million worth of long liquidations in the case that we just reach 92.5K in the Bitcoin price, which is extremely close to where we are currently trading. So that is why I think it is quite likely that we are going to take out this big level of liquidity, even if we consider this first trend line to be broken sometime soon. At the same time, we are still in this broader downtrend that we have been in for the last couple weeks. So I drew it out on this chart with the ascending channel pattern. First, we got a rejection from the top of this ascending channel. We then went all the way to the bottom of the range, as I warned about. In fact, we even broke below, then came back up to retest and flip this into a level of resistance. And then from there, we simply got another rejection from that ascending channel. So currently we are in this downtrend, and in green here, you can see what I'm basically expecting over the next week or so, undercutting this previous low at about 92K one last time before then blasting off to the upside. Now, don't take this price too literally. I'm not saying that it has to go exactly to like 90.5K. It can of course go deeper to come grab more liquidity and then potentially bounce from there. But the base case idea is simply that we are going to get one more undercut here, and then from there we will likely also form some sort of bullish divergence on the 4-hour time frame, which is another thing that I'm going to be looking out for here over the next week or so. To me, this seems like a really clear setup where we get some kind of bullish divergence, really confirming some kind of reversal signal, and then from there actually breaking this downtrend and looking for higher price action after that. For example, I would be looking towards some kind of resistance here once again on this ascending trend line. As always, I do have a point of invalidation, which is simply if I now see something like this, where we break this trend line, perhaps we see some kind of retest of that same trend line, flipping it into a level of support, and then just blasting straight off from there. Like once we break this trend line here, guys, potentially I would still be looking for some kind of retest a little bit down lower, but at that point I would be assuming that we are going to make higher price action for Bitcoin after that. So that is a clear point of invalidation for this whole trading idea here. And before I move on to the Bitcoin ETF analysis, I want to quickly show you one more example on this 3-day time frame of the Bitcoin liquidation heat map. Here recently on the 27th, we took out a big level of liquidity to the downside. And then from there, we actually reversed back to the upside to come grab this biggest pocket of liquidity here. Again, sweeping a bunch of liquidity. But then here, after reversing one more time, we swept the biggest level of liquidity to the upside here. I do think we are heading lower here once again to sweep this level at about 93.2K. And like I said earlier in the video, at that point, we will be so close to this 92.5K level that I would be very surprised if we do not end up taking this out at some point. Lastly, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin ETF flow tables. On Friday, we saw another big outflow from these Bitcoin ETFs, close to $300 million worth of net selling pressure. And so long as the Bitcoin ETFs keep selling hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin every single weekday, then obviously this is going to have a downwards pressuring effect on the Bitcoin price. Lastly, before I close off here today, guys, if all of this Bitcoin liquidation heat map stuff and this technical analysis is just a bit too much for you, maybe you're new to crypto here, I highly recommend you come check out my free trading course, which you can find on rt1m.com. I will also leave a link to this in the video description. Here you can watch over an hour of educational content about the basics of technical analysis and leverage trading. So if that is something you're interested in, go and check it out. It is, like I said, completely free. Either way, if you do end up checking out the free trading course or not, thank you for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.